You ever wonder if you're the only one, or are you just another option in her rotation? Most men are too afraid to ask this question because deep down, they already sense the answer. But here's the uncomfortable truth. A woman's actions will always reveal her true intentions, even when her words say something completely different. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 8 undeniable signs that prove you're the only man she's truly interested in. Not just attracted to, not just entertained by, but genuinely invested in. And the 5th sign? It's the one that separates the men she keeps around from the man she actually wants to keep. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand. No more guessing, no more overanalyzing midnight texts. Just clarity. And with that clarity comes power. The power to decide if she's worth your time or if you've been wasting it on someone who's already made her choice. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this message is reaching, because the game might be different across the world, but the psychology stays the same. Now let's get into the first sign, and trust me, most men completely misread this one. Here's something most men don't understand about women. When a woman is truly invested in you, she doesn't just make time for you. She guards that time like it's the most valuable thing she owns, because to her, it is. You'll notice she doesn't double book herself. She doesn't say yes to you and then suddenly have something come up. She doesn't keep her schedule vague so she can juggle multiple options. No, when she commits to seeing you, everything else takes a back seat. But here's where it gets deeper. It's not just about showing up. It's about how she shows up. A woman who's genuinely interested doesn't walk through your door distracted, checking her phone every 5 minutes, or giving you half her attention while her mind is somewhere else. She's present, fully. You can see it in her eyes, in the way she leans in when you speak, in how she laughs at things that aren't even that funny because she's just happy to be around you. Now contrast that with a woman who's keeping her options open. She'll agree to plans, but they're always loose. Maybe this weekend. Let's see how I feel. I'll let you know. That's not uncertainty. That's strategic ambiguity. She's leaving the door open for something better to come along. And if it does, guess who's getting canceled? Here's the psychology behind it. Time is the ultimate currency in dating. Money can be split. Attention can be faked. But time? Time is finite. When a woman gives you her time consistently, without hesitation, without excuses, she's telling you something her words might never say. You matter to me more than anyone else. So pay attention to the pattern. Does she rearrange her schedule to see you? Or do you feel like you're constantly working around hers? Does she protect your time together? Or does she treat it like just another item on her to-do list? Because here's the hard truth. A woman who's really into you won't make you feel like you're competing for her calendar. You'll be the priority, not the backup plan. But time is only one part of the equation, because even if she's showing up, there's another test that reveals everything. And it's happening in the way she talks to you, especially when no one else is around. Most men think emotional connection is something you have to work for. You ask the right questions. You create the right atmosphere. You slowly peel back the layers until she finally lets you in. But when a woman is genuinely interested in you, that process doesn't feel like work. It flows naturally. She doesn't make you interrogate her to find out what she's thinking or feeling. She volunteers it. She tells you about her day, not just the surface-level highlights, but the real stuff. The frustrations, the small victories, the weird thing that happened at work that's been on her mind. She brings you into her world without you having to knock on the door. And here's the key detail most men miss. She remembers what you've told her. When you mention something in passing, she brings it up later. She asks follow-up questions. She shows that your words actually landed somewhere inside her, that they mattered enough to stick. Now compare that to a woman who's not truly invested. Conversations with her feel transactional. You ask, she answers, but she never really asks back. Or if she does, it feels obligatory. There's no curiosity, no genuine interest in who you are beyond what you can do for her. She keeps things vague about her own life because letting you in creates attachment, and attachment complicates her ability to keep other men in rotation. Here's the psychology. Emotional vulnerability is a form of investment. When a woman shares her inner world with you, she's betting on you. She's saying, I trust you with this part of me. And that trust doesn't get handed out to everyone. It gets reserved for the man she sees potential with. So watch for this. Does she text you random thoughts throughout the day? Does she call just to talk about nothing in particular? Does she share her fears, her dreams, The things that keep her up at night? Or does every conversation feel like you're pulling teeth, trying to get her to open up while she stays safely behind her walls? Because a woman who's keeping you at arm's length emotionally is keeping you at arm's length, period. She's not letting you in because she hasn't decided if you're staying. And if she hasn't decided that, then you already know where you stand. But emotional openness is only part of the picture. Because while she's letting you into her mind, there's another way she's showing you that you're the only one. And this one happens in public, where everyone can see. This is one of the most telling signs, and yet so many men overlook it. When a woman is truly interested in you, she doesn't hide you. She doesn't keep you a secret. She doesn't introduce you as just a friend or avoid labeling what you are. She claims you, publicly, proudly. You'll notice it in the small moments. When you're out together and she runs into someone she knows, she doesn't create distance. She pulls you closer. She introduces you with a smile that says, "Yeah, this is my guy." Even if you haven't had the talk yet, her body language does the talking for her. She posts about you. Not in an obnoxious, look at us kind of way, but in a way that makes it clear to her circle that you exist and you matter. She's not worried about other men seeing it because there are no other men. You're it. Now, contrast that with a woman who's juggling options. She's strategic about where she's seen with you. She avoids posting anything that might suggest she's off the market. When she introduces you, it's vague. This is my friend. Or worse, she doesn't introduce you at all. She creates just enough separation to keep her options open. Here's the psychology. A woman who's serious about you doesn't care who knows. In fact, she wants people to know. It's a form of social signaling. She's telling the world, and more importantly, she's telling other men, that she's taken. That boundary is her way of protecting what you're building together. But when she keeps you hidden or ambiguous, that's not about privacy. That's about plausible deniability. She wants to be able to pivot if something better comes along, and she can't do that if everyone thinks you're together. So ask yourself, does she integrate you into her life, or does she keep you in a separate compartment? Do her friends know about you? Does her family? Or are you the guy she only sees in private, the one who exists in the shadows while she keeps the spotlight open for someone else? Because a woman who wants you won't hide you. She'll show you off. Not because she's trying to make anyone jealous, but because to her, you're worth showing off. But here's where it gets even more revealing. Because while she's claiming you in public, there's something else she's doing in private that proves you're the only one. And this sign is so subtle, most men don't even realize it's happening. This is a big one, and it's where a lot of men get blindsided because they don't understand how female validation works. Most women, especially attractive ones, are used to male attention. It's been part of their reality since adolescence. Compliments, likes, DMs, offers. It becomes background noise. And for some women, it becomes a source of emotional fuel. But here's what changes when she's genuinely invested in you. That fuel stops mattering. She's not checking her phone every 2 minutes to see who's reaching out. She's not keeping a roster of male friends who are clearly waiting for their chance. She's not posting thirst traps to see how many reactions she can rack up. Because the validation she needs, she's getting it from you. You'll notice her social media behavior shifts. The posts become less about seeking attention and more about sharing her life. The flirty replies to random guys dry up. The late-night conversations with just friends disappear. Not because you demanded it, but because her focus has narrowed. You're filling that space now. Here's the psychology. Attention is addictive, and women who rely on it from multiple sources do so because they don't feel secure in any one connection. But when a woman finds a man who makes her feel seen, valued, and desired in a real way, she stops needing the validation buffet. One quality source becomes more satisfying than a dozen shallow ones. Now, if she's still keeping that network active, if her DMs are still lit up and she's still entertaining conversations with guys who don't mean anything, that's not innocent. That's intentional. She's keeping the validation coming because you're not enough to fill the void. Or worse, you're not the only one trying to fill it. So watch for this. Does she disengage from the attention economy when she's with you? Or does she still crave it? Still chase it, still keep those doors open. Because a woman who's truly yours doesn't need the world's approval. She just needs yours. But validation isn't the only thing that changes. There's something even more powerful happening. Something that reveals her commitment in a way words never could. And this fifth sign? It's the one that separates the women who are serious from the ones who are just playing serious. This is the sign that separates everything. Because any woman can enjoy the moment with you. She can laugh at your jokes, share your bed, and make you feel good right now. But a woman who sees you as the only man she's interested in, she's not just thinking about today. She's thinking about tomorrow, and the day after that, and the year after that. You'll notice it in how she talks. She doesn't just say, "We should do this sometime." She says, "We should do this in the summer," or "when we visit my family next year." Future tense, plural pronouns. She's building a timeline in her mind, and you're in every frame. She asks about your goals, not in a casual, making conversation way, but in a way that shows she's trying to understand where you're going so she can figure out how she fits. She wants to know your plans because she's considering hers. And in her version of the future, you're not optional, you're essential. Here's the psychology. Commitment isn't about feelings. Feelings fluctuate. Commitment is about vision. When a woman starts weaving you into her long-term plans, consciously or subconsciously, she's telling you that you're not a chapter. You're part of the whole story. But if she avoids future talk, if every conversation stays locked in the present, if she deflects whenever you mention anything beyond next week, that's a red flag. It means she's not sure you'll still be around, or worse, she's not sure she wants you to be. Now here's what really separates the real from the fake. She invests in the relationship. And I don't just mean emotionally. She contributes. She plans dates. She surprises you. She makes effort without keeping score. She's not sitting back waiting for you to prove yourself while she does nothing. She's building with you. So ask yourself, does she talk about your future together, or does she keep everything vague and open-ended? Does she make plans with you, or does she just go along with yours? Is she investing in what you're building, or is she just consuming what you provide? Because a woman who's truly interested doesn't just take. She gives. And she gives because she sees the return. Not in transactions, but in a future where you're the only man she wants by her side. But future vision is only one layer. There's another, deeper layer that most men never think to look for. And it shows up not in what she says or plans, but in how she treats you when things get hard. Every relationship hits rough patches, disagreements, miscommunications, moments where you're not perfectly aligned. That's normal. What's not normal? How she responds when those moments come. A woman who's genuinely invested in you doesn't run at the first sign of trouble. She doesn't threaten to leave every time you disagree. She doesn't weaponize silence or shut down emotionally to punish you. Instead, she fights for the relationship, not against you, with you. You'll see it in her willingness to have the hard conversations. She doesn't avoid conflict because it's uncomfortable. She leans into it because she knows that working through it makes you stronger. She's not trying to win the argument. She's trying to find the solution. That's the difference. Here's the psychology. A woman who's keeping her options open will always have one foot out the door. The moment things get difficult, she'll start weighing you against her other possibilities. But a woman who's decided you're it, she stays. She works. She compromises. Because losing you isn't an option she's willing to entertain. Now contrast that with a woman who's not truly committed. She'll use conflict as an exit ramp. She'll blow things out of proportion to justify pulling away. She'll paint you as the problem so she doesn't have to face her own lack of investment. And every argument becomes a referendum on whether she should stay. So watch for this. When things get tough, does she stay and work through it? Or does she retreat, shut down, or start creating distance? Because anyone can be there when it's easy. The real test is who's still standing when it's hard. And here's the empowering truth. A woman who fights for you is a woman who values you. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for commitment. And she's showing you that she's willing to give it if you are. But there's something even more revealing than how she handles conflict. It's something most men never even think to pay attention to. And it happens in the quiet moments, when she thinks you're not looking. Consistency is the ultimate truth teller. Anyone can be amazing for a week, sweet for a month, present for a season. But sustained, steady, reliable presence, that's rare. And that's what separates the woman who's serious from the one who's just passing time. A woman who's truly interested in you doesn't fluctuate. She doesn't blow hot one week and cold the next. She doesn't disappear for days and then come back acting like nothing happened. Her energy toward you is stable, predictable in the best way. You'll notice it in the small things. She texts you back consistently. She follows through on what she says she'll do. When she says she'll call, she calls. When she makes a promise, she keeps it. There's no chaos, no drama, no guessing games, just reliability. Here's the psychology. Inconsistency is a control tactic. It keeps you off balance. It makes you chase. It creates anxiety that gets mistaken for passion. But real interest doesn't need those games. It shows up steadily, day after day, because the woman behind it has made a choice. And that choice is you. Now, if her behavior is erratic, if you never know which version of her you're going to get, if she's warm when she needs something and cold when she doesn't, that's not complexity. That's manipulation. She's giving you just enough to keep you hooked while reserving the right to pull away whenever it suits her. So ask yourself, is she consistent or is she convenient? Does she show up for you on her terms only, or does she show up because she genuinely wants to be there? Because a woman who's truly invested doesn't make you wonder. She makes you sure. And that certainty, that's what real interest looks like. But consistency alone isn't enough, because there's one final sign that brings everything together. And this one is so powerful it overrides everything else. This is the sign that tells you, beyond any doubt, that you're the only man she's really interested in. This is it, the ultimate sign, the one that makes everything else make sense. Because at the end of the day, a woman's true interest isn't shown in what she says, it's shown in what she chooses. Every day, she wakes up and has options. Maybe she doesn't act on them. Maybe she doesn't even acknowledge them, but they exist. Attention from other men, opportunities to explore something new, the freedom to walk away if she wanted to. But here's what separates the woman who's yours from the woman who's just with you. She chooses you, consciously, repeatedly, without hesitation. You'll see it in how she prioritizes you. When life gets busy, when stress hits, when 1,000 things are pulling at her attention, you're still at the top. She doesn't let you fall to the bottom of her list. She doesn't take you for granted. She actively chooses to invest in you even when it would be easier not to. Here's the deepest psychology. Choice is the foundation of commitment. Feelings come and go. Attraction fluctuates. But choice? That's deliberate. That's conscious. And a woman who chooses you daily is a woman who's decided that no other option compares. Now, if she's wavering, if you feel like you're constantly having to prove your worth, if she's always keeping her options open just in case, then you already know the truth. You're not the only one. You're just the current one. So here's the final question you need to ask yourself. Does she choose you? Not just today, but consistently, in big moments and small ones, in public and in private, when it's easy and when it's hard. Because a woman who truly wants you doesn't make you compete. She makes you her choice, the only one that matters. So, there you have it. 8 undeniable signs that reveal whether you're the only man she's really interested in. Not the only man she's talking to, not the only man giving her attention, but the only man she's genuinely investing in. The only man she sees a future with. The only man she's chosen. And here's the hard truth. Most men ignore these signs because facing them means facing a reality they're not ready for. It's easier to live in the gray area, to tell yourself, maybe, and we'll see, than to confront the fact that you might not be as important to her as she is to you. But that's how you waste years. That's how you lose yourself. That's how you end up giving everything to someone who was never really yours. So here's my challenge to you. Stop lying to yourself. Look at the relationship you're in right now and measure it against these 8 signs. Be honest, brutally honest, because clarity, even when it hurts, is better than confusion. If she's showing you all 8 signs, then congratulations. You found something rare. Protect it. Nurture it. Don't take it for granted. But if she's not, if you're seeing more red flags than green lights, then it's time to make a decision. Stay and accept that you're not the priority, or walk away and find someone who will give you what you deserve. Before you go, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and drop a comment telling me which sign hit you the hardest. Your story might be exactly what another man needs to hear to stop wasting his time. Because at the end of the day, you don't just deserve a woman who's interested. You deserve a woman who's committed. And if she's not giving you that, then it's time to stop giving her your everything. This isn't the end. It's the beginning. The beginning of knowing your worth and refusing to settle for anything less.